What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be just covering and giving my thoughts over Friday night's fights with Shannon Ryan and Conway and Watson, and also covering the George Liddard and Kieron Conway fight. If you're new here, I'd just like to remind you to hit that subscribe button. Here in this channel we break down all the latest boxing action, talk prospects, and also talk about the rankings and what's possibly next for the fighters. So if you could, hit that subscribe button, and let's get on with the video. Alright, so let's start off with the Shannon Ryan and Conway Watson fight. So Shannon Ryan, in my opinion, looked super sharp. Even when on the ring walk, she looked confident, she looked happy. She was in the ring, she was really composed. Using her natural athleticism, you could see that she was just ready to spring and shooting off the overhand right. And clever, and she's shown that she's improved every fight. Like this fight, you could see she was a lot busier, and I think I said in my prediction video that she needed to pop up that jab more. And I like the fact that in this fight, I actually saw her going to the body and throwing that jab to the body. So there was some real improvements from Shannon Ryan in this fight, which was really good to see. So Shannon Ryan, now that she's beaten Conway Watson, puts her in a good position in the rankings within all the sanctioning bodies. I think she won the IBF Intercontinental belt or something, so she's got that. But looking at the rankings for the WBC and WBA, because I couldn't really find the IBF, I just managed to go off the WBC and WA rankings, that she's well highly ranked with them. So that puts Shannon Ryan back into world contention now. So I think the truthful thing is about some of the women's boxing, some of the weight classes, and Superfly being one of them, is there's not a lot in that area. There's a lot of fighters even I don't know. I think a lot of the fighters in that area might be Hispanic and Japanese. So I don't really know what the next plan will be with Shannon Ryan, if they're going to get her one more fight out and then go for a world title. Or a possible option for Shannon Ryan could be the Conway Watson rematch. Now, even though this is a very one-sided fight, you can still argue for a rematch due to it finishing due to a technical decision. But either way, this fight really puts her in a good position. She should go up in the rankings, and now she has some more bargaining power. She's come back from a loss from a good fighter, and has now got a win over another good fighter. So that puts her in a great position. So with the fight itself, as I said, Shannon Ryan really showed up on Friday night. In my scorecard, I think I had the exact same thing as the judges, which was 40-36. I gave every round to Shannon Ryan. She came into that fight, she performed exactly how she should. And yeah, she swept away with a win in every single round. The headbutt was nasty, but from the slowdown, you can see it was accidental. It was a very nasty headbutt, but obviously Shannon Ryan came out on top because it was the top of her head that clashed with Conway Watson's face. And yeah, Shannon Ryan got off with that lucky and unscathed. But I think if this went the distance, it would have been about the same scorecard. I think even then, I think Conway Watson might have been stopped, because I think Shannon Ryan was landing at will and teeing off. I think she just would have stopped Conway Watson. I think the same thing that happened to her eye over headbutt would have happened later in the fight. But either way, I think the writing was on the wall. I don't think there was any comeback for Conway Watson. I think Shannon Ryan, she showed up. She did what she does best, and she just swept every single round perfectly. So, on the other hand, let's talk about Conway Watson, which is almost the complete opposite to Shannon Ryan, where, just as a highlight, I don't think Conway Watson really showed up. I feel like she was very nervous in the fight and the ring walk, and also her timing was just completely off. So, in my opinion, is this. It's not because Shannon Ryan is that much better than Conway Watson that she swept it all. I just don't think Conway Watson showed up. And I think you've got the classic thing here of one fighter showed up, one fighter didn't show up. Now, I always believed that Shannon Ryan had enough to beat Conway Watson, and I thought she would beat her solely off her athleticism and the fact that she wants to get more in the trenches. But still, Conway Watson's a very respectable fighter and very good, and she was just not with it in this fight. So let's start from the early signs of Conway Watson, which is the ring walk. When Shannon Ryan did her ring walk, she was confident. You could see she was happy. She was ready in the fight zone and ready for the fight. Conway Watson, on the other hand, looking at her, she just didn't look like she had the right energy even walk into the ring. And sometimes with some fighters, they can look a bit nervous walking to the ring. Some fighters can take a round or two to even get into the fight and loosen up. Some fighters, though, a little bit like Anthony Joshua, when you see the signs early, you know something's wrong. And Conway Watson was one of those fighters where when she was walking to the ring, you could clearly see that something was off of her. And once she was in the ring, her timing was just completely off. And this is what I meant was the difference. Shannon Ryan's an athletic fighter who gets into the trenches. Conway Watson's more of a boxer. She's got more of that amateur style. She's more of a like I said, she's just more of a boxer, and if she can't box the other person, that's her main arsenal gone. And that's why I feel like happened with Chloe Watson. She just couldn't land the jab. And when she was throwing that jab, it wasn't a tippy tappy jab. There's nothing on it. It was just throwing the jab out for the sake of throwing out. There was no strength to it, nothing to off-pot Shannon Ryan. And Shannon Ryan was jabbed the body. She was coming in low. She was landing the overhand right. Overall, doing everything she should do against the slightly, well, I mean, she's not taller, but I would say Chloe Watson's definitely got the longer reach. And she's doing everything she could to offset Chloe Watson. So, yeah, Chloe Watson just not on point. And it was a little bit upsetting to see because it was sort of like, I want to see a really good competitive fight, but instead, like I said, I got one fighter who improved from her last fight and came in with the correct game plan. And it just looked like Chloe Watson she just wasn't there. So something was obviously bothering her that she couldn't perform on the night. But with Chloe Watson, this is only her second loss, and she's still very young. And the female boxing game is quite different to the male boxing game. With the men's boxing, it's more when you have a loss, you kind of go down the rankings. There's a lot of rebuilding. You do all the classic stuff. You get people from abroad, you fight them. With the women's game, it's a lot faster. You tend to go and fight a bit of a journeywoman, and you're straight back into contention because the level's just not the same. And it depends on the weight class, right? Like lightweight can have better fighters, but right down there in super flyweight, the level's just not there. So I think Chloe Watson can definitely come back. My idea for her right now is to have a rebuild fight. Go and just have a fight against anybody, just someone who she knows she can beat and get maybe a cheeky like 6 to 8 rounder in, and then come back. And her comeback fight, I think you could sell that Shannon Ryan and Chloe Watson fight, right? Because it was a technical decision. Yes, Shannon Ryan was winning it, but you have that thing that has stopped early. There could be this whole backstory of, if I was in the fight and I continued, I would have got off my game plan. So I feel like there could be a rematch there, maybe in the future, maybe even for a world title. Maybe Shannon Ryan will pick up one up really soon, and they could have a rematch in the future. I think a rematch would be good because I would rather see Chloe Watson come in with a better mindset and more sharp, and I think we would get a better fight that way. Either way, though, I'm not taking away from Shannon Ryan because she performed exactly like I thought she would, and she performed perfectly. So no complaints here from Shannon Ryan. That was a really good win. And with Chloe Watson, this isn't the end. She can definitely rebuild. She's only got 2 losses. She's young. Those losses are probably going to teach her a lot of things that she probably didn't know beforehand. Okay, now let's go into the big fight of the night now, the main one, which was George Liddard and Kieron Conway. Now, I'm just going to say, what a performance from George Liddard, because I picked him to win. I thought he had a very good chance at winning the fight, but he just dominated the fight. I thought he would win. Let's say it was a 12-rounder, right? I thought he would have won at least 8 rounds, maybe even 9 rounds. I had it a bit different to some of the judges. I think the scorecards, I basically had it every round bar 1 round to Kieron Conway. I just thought George Liddard really performed well, and he just took everything away from Kieron Conway. Anything Kieron Conway could do, George Liddard was just nullifying it. So what a performance. And then also, just what a performance from Kieron Conway as well. Just showed how tough he is. So let's just start with George Liddard. He did what he does best, right? That pressure fighter, that relentless pressure to just keep on his opponents and just keep throwing everything with bad intentions, right? There is no such... George Liddard, I don't think, knows how to throw a tippy-tappy punch. I don't think he knows how to throw a rangefinder. Everything is just... His timing is fantastic. And his power shots just... You can see even the shots early on were hurting Conway. Like, I think one of the things I said in my analysis video last time was Kieron Conway has a habit of dipping to his left. Within the first round, George Liddard caught Kieron Conway flush on the face with that left hook as he dipped left. And you could see that hurt Kieron Conway. And those jabs were just rocking his head back. So, yeah, that relentless pressure he puts on, those punches, everything with mean intentions, it's so fun to watch. That relentless pressure was just breaking Kieron Conway down. And I said this in my last video, if he's done his homework correctly, he'll know how to beat Conway. And the main fight I think he watched was definitely that Ted Cheeseman fight. Because I think that Ted Cheeseman fight was the main thing Liddard had to watch. I feel like he did take a lot of lessons from that fight because you could see Ted Cheeseman kept that pressure on Kieron Conway, right? It's just, in my opinion, George Liddard's a better fighter than Ted Cheeseman was. And the fact that Kieron Conway now is, 6 years ago? He's 6 years older and Liddard's a lot younger and he's putting the same pressure on him. It was just the right tactic to do. And I think George Liddard must have looked at that fight and thought, that's what I got to implement but I got to implement it better. And as I said in my last video as well, is with Kieron Conway, you got to throw off his game plan, because he comes in with a game plan, he's going to try and stick to it. And George Liddard pressured him to a point that there was no game plan anymore. He had to fight, basically. And that is not Kieron Conway's strong suit, is getting into a dog war. And I feel like that's just all George Liddard did was, I'm going to make you fight my fight. I'm not playing your game, which was just the right tactic to do. And it just worked in Liddard's favor. Everything just went to Liddard in that fight. He couldn't have asked for a better fight the way he wanted it. And I heard on commentary last night, which I didn't know, which I thought was quite interesting, is that I think George Liddard, now he's won the belt, is the youngest British middleweight champion of all time. Just a cool bit of trivia, and I think that's a great achievement for the guy. So after this win now, he's now British and Commonwealth champion. And like I said, he just came in what you want to see. Before the fight, the press conference, his confidence, his arrogance, and just how sharp he is. He's just everything you want in a fight, and I think Eddie Hearn's got a good one here, because the thing with the middleweight division, it's not the most stacked. It's not the worst division in boxing, but it's also not a division that we all talk about. And I feel like if you're going to talk about casual fans, I think it's only really Chris Eubank Jr. that's in that weight class that you can talk about. I think everybody else who's in that weight class is more of what the hardcore's like. Now, again, there are some good fighters in middleweight, but it's not the stacked division. So George Liddard here has a really good division where he can really make a name for himself, especially the fact that he's excited. He brings the noise. I'm hoping to see him on a Riyadh show soon against someone interesting, so he gets the eyeballs on him and people can start really talking about how interested George Liddard is. George Liddard's inside work, again, is just amazing to see, because I said in my last video, he's very good up inside. He doesn't smother his work, and he throws these really tight, strong uppercuts. And also those left hooks were also landing. You could see that they were hurting Conway. Everything he did was hurting Conway. Liddard was going to body. He was throwing left hooks to get him in there. He was throwing right hooks. He's throwing uppercuts. He just did everything to keep the pressure on, everything to hurt Kieron Conway. So I think that was an excellent performance by Liddard. He overperformed. Because, like I said, I thought he'd win on points. I thought he'd fight exactly how he did. I just thought he would do it on points. I thought Kieron Conway's toughness would get him through 12 rounds. But Liddard came in there with the game plan of, I've got to stop this guy to make a statement. And the statement was made because I was a fan of George Liddard before, but now I really see a prospect here in someone who's going to do big things. So he's gone from, I would actually go as far as saying, maybe he needs one more fight to really certify this, but I think he's gone from a prospect to a fringe world level now. He's British champion, he's European champion, he's Commonwealth champion. Let's see if he can get the European belt, then we are talking about a fringe world level, at least at the moment. All right, let's have a little chat about Kieron Conway now. So there's not really a lot to say about Conway, really, other than the fact that he was throwing the jab earlier and he was trying to get that range, but you could see from Kieron Conway that he was not comfortable with the pressure that George Liddard was bringing him. And like I said, in the first round, it was set straight away. The pace was set. You know, I said the left hook caught Conway when he dipped down to his left. The jabs were rocking his head back. Conway, even though they threw the towel in and he got stopped, he still showed how tough he is, how he can take such a brutal onslaught. I'm surprised it took until round 9 for him to go down. But he was also trying to throw the uppercut that I said is his best shot. But again, it's a slow uppercut and Liddard was just too fast for it. By the time it was being thrown, Liddard was already out of range and then coming back into range of his own onslaught. But yeah, Kieron Conway was trying to throw that jab. Again, it's that problem that he doesn't have that power. I know people hit harder usually than the records show, but I just don't think there was enough effort to get Liddard's respect. I think Liddard was just thinking, I'm just going to go through this guy. So I scored this round all the way up into round 10. Let me just get my scorecard up because I do not remember off the top of my head, but I think it was 89 to 81. Let me check. Yeah, 89 to 81. So I had it every single round to George Liddard except round 8, and you include the knockdown in round 10. So I lost my notes between rounds 3 and 7. I did write them down and I just lost them, so I just don't think I saved them. But I've got my notes for rounds 1, 2, 8, 9, and 10. So this is how I saw it. So I am going to be reading off a script here. So round 1, all Liddard. I saw the pressure straight away. It was straight away he kept on with the pressure. He caught Conway early when he was dipping to his left, and he was throwing the jabs that were rocking Conway back. Conway really didn't do anything in round 1, in my opinion. It was all Liddard. Round 2, almost the exact same story, except Liddard came out within the first 15 seconds throwing combinations to head and body. He really set the pace again to almost say to Conway, this is the pace we're fighting, by the way, if you're going to go 12 rounds. I'm not going to stop, because he has an amazing tank and amazing energy. So round 2, Liddard. So rounds 3 and 7, I don't have my notes. From what I remember, I give round 3 to Liddard, likely from pressure. I think it was round 4 and 5 that you could give to Conway. I know there was 2 rounds that was like the very swing rounds, because Conway did stand and fight with Liddard. And I would say it was almost a quality over quantity. I feel like in those 2 rounds I had as swing rounds, Conway was throwing a lot more and trying to keep Liddard off. But I'm one of these people, I score off clear, effective work. And I saw the more clear, effective work from George Liddard. He was hurting Conway. His punches were landing better. So those 2 swing rounds, I give to Liddard. But if some people said, no, I give 4 and 5, or I just give 4, I just give 5 to Conway, I'm completely fine with that. If people say my scorecard's a bit harsh with only 1 round and they think he had 3, that's also fine. 4 and 5, I think, was swing rounds. I just thought Liddard did better. And then, what's there, 6 and 7, I don't have my notes, but I'm assuming from scoring on the night, I give the 2 rounds to Liddard. So then we have round 8, where this is Conway's best round. This is where I just feel like Liddard took the foot off the gas for a little bit and just had a bit of a rest round. But either way, that was the strongest round by Kieron Conway. I feel like he threw more. I feel like because he got stopped then rounds later, I feel like he emptied his tank a little bit. I feel like he thought, I've got to put the pressure on him now. And I think he thought Liddard was slowing down, but Liddard just literally had a round off just to chill out and regain his composure. Round 9 then was a dominant round for Liddard. You know, he came out and Conway was showing signs of fatigue and that the punches were starting to get to him. He came in, just the pressure, and then there was the right hook to the head. Anyway, he caught Conway on the top of the head, and it was like a delayed reaction, right? Because then a little bit later, Conway went down. It was scored at 10-8, and then, yeah, he went back to his corner, and he just didn't look right. You know, you could hear his corner saying to him, you know, throw the punch, the right hook to the back of the head, I think Conway's corner were telling them, and just basically saying, don't get stopped. I think they were just trying to tell him, like, survive, just keep backpedaling. But round 10, Conway was just knackered. You could see he didn't really want to be in there then. You could see he was like, you know what, I'm tough, but I think I'm done. I'm not doing this for another 9 minutes. And then, yeah, basically Liddard came out, put the pressure on. I think Liddard knew straight away from his body language, like, I can get this guy out. And the referee was about to step in. The towel came in. It was the right decision, because this could have went 3 more rounds, but the writing was on the wall. Liddard was not. Conway was not going to get back into it. Liddard had won every round, in my opinion, bar 1. But yeah, either way, even though it was a one-sided fight, it was still a very, very good fight, because Conway, even though I scored all these rounds to Liddard, Conway was still in the fight. He wasn't backing down. He was throwing. He was trying to do what he does. It's just, there's levels. And Liddard, in my opinion, is just on a different level to Kieron Conway. But nonetheless, well done to Kieron Conway as well. He was it takes two to tango, and they give us a good fight, because I was really interested and I really enjoyed it. So again, Conway showed his toughness, but it just wasn't enough to get past, to get the entire 12 rounds in. I would say now with Conway, with the amount of losses he's got, and even though he's 29, he's got a lot of miles on the clock, right? He's had a lot of fights. I would say he's 29 by age, but probably fighting age, he's probably about in his mid-30s. And also that fight took a lot out of him. I think that's going to age him quite a lot, because he took a brutal beating where he really felt the pace. Either way, though, I think he is now a bit of in my opinion, this might sound disrespectful, but I never mean it in a bad way. He's a certified gatekeeper now, a measuring stick. And I think what Kieron Conway's career, if he wants to continue, will be now, is that he'll always fight within the domestic and possibly European level. Because he can still beat a lot of British boys. He can still beat a lot of European fighters. There's people he can beat. I just feel like now he's officially a measuring stick. He's for people like George Liddard. There's other middleweights out there. I think he will be the fighter you go, oh, let's get him with Conway. Because Conway will, give rounds, and he can box. So, yeah. I think if he has any world title aspirations, I think they're out the window. I think Kieron Conway now just realizes that he is a gatekeeper. He's not journeyman, because that is disrespectful, because he's not a bad fighter. He's just a gatekeeper, kind of like how you'd compare him to like a Derek Chisora in the heavyweight division, right? He is standing there at the gates of the middleweight division now, thinking, "I'm a good test for you. Can you beat me?" Basically. On the other hand, then you have George Liddard, who I really think has shined in this fight. Right, I am so excited to see what he does going forward. Again, like I said, he's fan friendly, he's excited, he's high energy, and now he's both British and Commonwealth champion. And once you hit that level, you're at a certain level now. So, what is next for George Liddard? I'd say he should go for the vacant European title. If Eddie Hearn can do that for him and get it done, that'll be another little tick off the box, right? Because then if he gets the European belt with the British, Commonwealth, and European, he's, champion or high level against 3/4 of the world, right? So I would say let's see where George Liddard can go next. Because in my opinion, I would already put him as fringe world level. The problem with the European belt is we have two choices, right? We either get someone good in to fight him, which I don't know every middleweight champion in Europe, but I know the British ones. And the two that come to mind for me for the European belt that would be really fun is Aaron McKenna and Denzel Bentley fighting for it. If not, any other big champion, or unfortunately it happens a lot with the European belt, we tend to get cream puffs. So I would just say the European belt should be the next target, right? Even if it's a cream puff and he gets the European belt, it's just a selling point. But also, if he could get one of the good European fighters in for the belt, then that would be better because that just solidifies him more. So I think George Liddard now is officially past the stage where we can give him any lower end fighters. He's got nothing to go than up from Kieron Conway, and up from Kieron Conway starting to go into the top 10 rankings against the sanctioning bodies and even the Ring magazine. So I have 4 people in mind. Actually, I had 5 people, but I counted one out. So let me tell you the one I've counted out first. Chris Eubank Jr. He is not fighting George Liddard. Not in a million years, because it won't pay enough and it's just all wrong for Eubank Jr. He's just going to fight Conor Benn and do the biggest payday and probably one more fight after that, maybe Canelo, and then retire. So counting Eubank Jr. out, but he is probably the biggest payday in the middleweight division. The 4 other names I like, I already said 2 of them, is Aaron McKenna and Denzel Bentley. You could get those 2 in for the European belt. I like the sound of those 2 fights because they are in the top 10 of every sanctioning body, but they're also in the top 10 Ring magazine. And Aaron McKenna has already shown that he's a really good fighter. He's very tall, very lanky, got that really good rangefinder. But him and George Liddard would match really well, and they're both under Matchroom. At least I think they're both under Matchroom. I think Aaron McKenna is. Yeah, he is. So them 2 fighting would be a really good fight. And then I also like the Denzel Bentley fight, which Denzel Bentley has always frustrated me because when he shows up, he shows up. When he doesn't show up, he is so unbelievably frustrating. So I think Denzel Bentley be fun. I don't think that will happen though because he's a Frank Warren fighter and he is one of Frank Warren's main boys. Like Frank Warren has a couple of fighters who class as main guys that he likes, even if they lose. He just likes them. Jabbar being one, Yard, and Denzel Bentley being one of them as well. So they're 2 fights I like on this side of the pond, on the European side. The other 2 fights then is Amma Williams. I think that would be a really fun fight for both fighters, and I think both would really gel well together. And then Shane Mosley Jr., because I've never rated Shane Mosley Jr., but this is how low the levels are in the middleweight division. I've never rated Shane Mosley Jr., but he's still in the top 10 rankings. And I think that would be a great win because it'd be the name, the Shane Mosley Jr. name, and also he would get in my opinion, the easiest way to get in the top 10 rankings. So if I rank them what I would like to see in order first, I would like to see Amma Williams, Denzel Bentley, Aaron McKenna, and then Shane Mosley Jr. If I'm going to rank on what I think are the easiest fights to go through in order, I'd probably say the easiest one is Shane Mosley. Second easiest could be Denzel Bentley. Again, 50-50. Is he going to show up? And if he's not, if he shows up, Denzel Bentley is very, very good. If he doesn't, then Liddard would just go through him. I'd probably say Amma Williams the third. I think Amma Williams is good. He's another fighter, does all the basics well, but there's nothing that really stands out. But again, he's tough and he's game and he likes to exchange. And I think him and Liddard would just gel. And then I think Aaron McKenna is the hardest fight for him because I really do rate Aaron McKenna really highly as well. So that's the 4 fights I would like to see for George Liddard going forward. I think any of those 4 fights would just get me excited. But again, there's a lot more people in the top 10 rankings. As for world title fights, who are the champions right now? It's Lara, Janabek, and Adames. So as I said, I think he's fringe world level, But I don't think you could put Liddard in right now with like Janabek. Janabek's the best in the middleweight division, right? Liddard against Janabek would be very, very hard for Liddard right now. Lara and Adames, though, are there for the taking. So I wouldn't put him in right now. I mean, he's fringe world level right now. I wouldn't put him in with a world champion right now. I want one of those four guys to fight first, and maybe even two of them. Maybe get him with Shane Mosley Jr. and then one of the three I mentioned. And if you can beat one or two of those people, I think then you can start talking about the world title fights. So if I was Eddie Hearn and managing him correctly, I would probably go for Carlos Adames, because with Adames, even though I still think he's a good fighter and he beat Shiraz and he's number one, like their styles were just gelled together. But Adames is there for the taking. So I would go for the Adames fight for number one, for a fan-friendly fight that will just be two guys exchanging, going for it. Second fight then would be Lara, because Erisani Lara's a back foot fighter. He's a bit of a runner, but he is old. And even though he's still got a good enough, he's got enough in the tank to outbox people, that age is going to catch up with you at some point. And I feel like Lillard's pressure would get to Lara. So I would like to see Carlos Adames, then Lara. Janabek, will talk about that when he gets a world title, but Janabek and Liddard is a big ass, but I think it'll be a really good, fun fight. So to sum it up with George Liddard, I would say European belt next. Hopefully get some sort of top 10 ranking fighter next as well, just to see where he's at in that level. And then finally we can start looking at world titles. But I think he's come on very well. And the fact he's had such a small amount of fights as well, I already see like I said, I don't even class him a prospect anymore. I'd class him a world title contender. So, well, fringe world level contender, but still really looking forward to his future. So, in short, yeah, really big night of boxing and really big things for George Liddard and Shannon Ryan. We have Liddard, who is just bringing back some level of excitement for the middleweight division, because, as I said, I still like a lot of the fighters in the middleweight division, but in the UK, the last person we had was Hamza Shiraz, but he's gone up to super middleweight. So in the UK, we've kind of been lacking that real excitement of the middleweights. And I feel like George Liddard is going to do us a favour there and actually bring that level of excitement. So I'm glad he's doing something good for the middleweight division. Like I said, he's just going to bring up his confidence, his pressure. He's just fan-friendly. So hopefully soon we'll be getting more casual boxing fans talking about him. And as for Ryan, she's shown how sharp she is. She's showed that she can come back from a defeat. I didn't see anything that really showed me that she's, lost anything as a fighter. Just shows that she's mentally strong. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to big things with Shannon Ryan as well. So let me know in the comments below, specifically, who do you think George Liddard should fight next? Smash that like button, and if you've enjoyed the breakdown, subscribe for more fight talk, and I'll see you in the next bout.